Welcome everybody. I swear we're going to talk about wrestling at some point. Welcome to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. Mine and Mr. Blood's one-on-one. I'm the host. My name is Edgar, where we meet every Thursday night on TikTok Live to talk about wrestling shit, man. But yeah, we recently watched Home Alone 1 and 2. And that was really fun. The kids love that. Got a
Yeah.
kick out of that. I haven't seen those movies in a long time, so it was cool, man. It's the season, man. I'm in the holiday spirit. I'm in a great mood, man. About to have some time off of work pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited too. We got a week till Christmas Day, which is crazy. We're already here. It's like, what is this every year now? Like, but
Yeah,
I'm excited because part two of season five Stranger Things releases on Christmas Day as well. So,
that's
and
right.
then and then part three is on New Year's. So I'm really excited, but I'm also like bittersweet because it's
Yeah,
almost over. Like, but
yeah. We've been watching that too.
part one was insane.
Yeah,
So. Friggin' oh my god, Will, bro, Will, the wise, he's a
yeah,
sorcerer. I love it. I love it.
yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. Also, my son was telling me about like something about some new Marvel trailers or something like that that just
They
came
got
out.
leaked. They got leaked. They didn't come out.
Uh,
So someone leaked the Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer for Avengers Doomsday that comes out next year,
mm,
and then someone also leaked the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day, the next Spider-Man movie.
mm. Yeah.
So
I feel bad because he's really into that stuff. He tries to talk to me about that, and I'm just like, bro, like I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't, I don't watch. I mean, I watch it with him, but like, I don't know anything about that stuff. Like most fans are like, you want to talk to me about some wrestling? I'll talk to you about wrestling, but
it's all right
yeah,
there, Junior. Dad don't know ball. You don't you don't know comic book ball.
mm,
But if you look behind me, oh, I know ball. So
yeah. So yeah, man, a lot of crazy shit has been happening in the wrestling world, Mr. Blood, that we got to talk about. The first thing I want to get into, because you made an episode about this, you made a video on our socials that damn near went viral, got a lot of attention about Mick Foley parting ways with the WWE, and I didn't really look into it a whole much because I wanted you to tell me about this live on air here tonight. So put me on game. What's going on with Mick Foley and the WWE?
So this all started when Rob Reiner, famous actor director Rob Reiner, famous for directing the movies Stand by Me, When Harry Met Sally, The Bucket List, A Few Good Men, Spinal Tap. Classics like that. He's also starred in The Wolf of Wall Street and in The Princess Bride, one of the most beloved cult classic films of all time. Him and his wife were uh, how do I say
Deceased.
that? Yeah, they were unalived because I got to watch the TikTok algorithm for the lives. Unalived by their son, who was an addict, unfortunately, last, I believe, Saturday evening in their home from an argument that had stinted from the previous day. And
So the son did it?
their son did it. He's been arrested for first degree. And their daughter, unfortunately, found them. He had throats and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob Reiner was 78, his wife was 68. So when the news broke, no one had known who had done it yet, and President Trump, in all of his idiotic wisdom, decides to go on Truth Social, his account, and post an extremely fucking backhanded fucking condolence post where he basically mocks Rob Reiner and his wife's passing, blaming it on him having Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, and that he was the victim of TDS, and that because he had radicalized people through his anti-MAGA speech or whatever, this was bound to happen to him because he had contracted Trump derangement syndrome. He basically used the man's death to essentially weaponize
Victim blaming.
his distastement for Rob Reiner's outspoken nature against him, and then finishes it off with rest in peace, or condolences to Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer, and it's just like, you're a piece of shit.
So you said that the son was arrested, right? We got someone in the comments wondering.
Yes, he was arrested. I believe the daughter had actually pointed the police in the direction of her brother, because he was there the night prior in a serious altercation, according to neighbors, that had overheard a horrible, very, very aggressive fight between them. And then the very next night, they're gone.
Do they know what the argument was about?
Not yet, not that I'm aware of. And it sucks because you then have, everybody's posting their condolences. Well, Mick Foley, WWE Hall of Famer and legend Mick Foley, who has not been a fan of Trump at all because he's just not, got very angry at that posting on Truth Social and decided to vocally go public and go, you know what? I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah.
I have, stayed silent for far too long. The WWE has had an extremely close relationship with Trump for years, but they've gotten very, very close this year because they're trying to get Triple H into politics. And Linda McMahon is, in fact, on Trump's team in the education department. And they have, Triple H was on TV with Donald Trump just a few months ago, like standing next to him during a speech. They even invited him. He was actually supposed to be at John Cena's retirement match, but he wasn't. But guess who was there? Robert F. Kennedy. So
I think Linda was there too.
Yeah. So when it came down to it, Jack White, who's a musician, had posted his distaste towards Trump, and then Mick Foley reshared that tweet. Now, when it came down to it, Mick Foley then let talent relations know the night prior, because you guys are in so full support of Donald Trump, and I'm disgusted by his behavior, and you guys are doing nothing but coddling him and befriending him and letting him do whatever the fuck he wants. Mick Foley then let them know that he was terminating his work with them. He said, because of what Trump said about Rob Reiner's death, you guys are doing nothing about it. You're letting him get away with it. I no longer want to represent a company that allows that behavior. So I am no longer going to do appearances. I'm no longer going to, I'm not renewing my contract in June when it comes up. And he said, because I'm sick of this. This was the last straw. You can say what you want to say, which is fine. Free speech and all that. That's great. It's not freedom of consequences, but free speech is great. The problem is that, whatever side you lean on politically, I don't give a fuck who you vote for. I really don't. Even though these people in the comments want to bitch and moan and be stupid, that bald guy, here comes the liberal crying. I'm actually independent, you stupid cunt. But when it comes down to it, we're not talking about me, you idiots. We're talking about Mick Foley from WWE, because this is a wrestling podcast and this is wrestling news, so you can suck my dick. But when it came down to it, you can say whatever you want. I don't care what party you're affiliated with. I don't care if I was a Republican for 13 years and I switched independent. But my best friends are heavy MAGA supporters. I am not. I hate Trump. They know that. We love each other. It doesn't matter. I see past politics, the person. This is one of those positions where this was about a person who had been unalived by his son along with his wife. And Trump used that passing to mock and humiliate the guy in death just because they had public disagreements with each other, saying that what happened to him and his wife was because of Trump derangement syndrome. That is disgusting. This guy was just unalived by his own child, along with his innocent wife, who had never said anything public. That was Jack White and Mick Foley's problem, that WWE continues to stay in business and partnership with the president, whom continues to do this while WWE spouts, anti-bullying campaigns and we're on the side of what's right and all this other crap, but they're trying to use their power and their connection with Trump to get Triple H into politics, which we've seen all year and which we've seen him on live TV all year with Trump along with Linda McMahon. Fine. That's his career prospect. I don't care. He can do that. You want to go into politics? Do your thing. The problem here is that Mick Foley believed that what Trump said about Rob Reiner's passing was wrong, and he terminated his business with WWE because he was an ambassador for WWE under a Legends contract that expires in June. He's no longer renewing. And he's quite literally, I mean, one of the most famous prospects WWE's ever had. I mean, he's got a net worth of $14 million. This guy has been in business with WWE for a long time. And that has ended because of the post on Truth Social regarding Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer's passing. And I can see these comments going down here. I'm not reading them when they're negative. I couldn't give a shit. But when it comes down to it, I agree with Foley. I don't care what your politics are. That's not what I'm agreeing with. I'm agreeing with Foley didn't just say something that he disagreed with. He took action and was like, you know what? Fuck the money. Fuck the representation. This is where I draw a line. And he stood on business. And I don't care what your politics are. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. What I'm saying is I agree with doing what you believe is right. Because ultimately that's all we can do. And Mick Foley proved that he is a doer, not just a talker. And I respect that.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, let's be for real. Mick Foley probably doesn't need the money anymore. Like I could probably guess
$14 million net worth.
I can probably guess that there's a lot of people that feel the same way that work for the WWE like Mick Foley does, that feels the same way. However, not everyone is in the position of Mick Foley where they can just walk out. Like if it's someone else, someone younger, maybe someone who's just starting their lifelong dream of being a WWE superstar, they're probably going to think twice about speaking up against something like this.
They have to because they have the disparity clause in their contracts. They say anything ill about WWE, they're in direct violation. There were other WWE talents that actually did still give responses, but they didn't lean any type of way. Stone Cold Steve Austin literally tweeted Mick Foley what he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, if that's what Mick wants to do, then he's going to do it, but much respect to him for it.
Yeah,
and that's fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin, beer drinking, living in the freaking backwoods. As far as I'm aware, full blown Texan, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So it's not about what side of the political fence you lean on. It's about where you stand in your morality. Can you at least see that whether you agree with how Mick Foley feels towards Trump or not, doesn't matter. Can you agree that doing what you believe is right is all you really can do because you believe it's right? I respect anybody. I don't care if you're Trump. I don't care if you're, Obama. If you believe it's right, I respect that you believe it's right. I don't have to agree with it, but I respect that you'll stand on business for it. And I understand that there are many who want to voice their opinions but can't because that's their job. They have to then go into, okay, well, I think very strongly of this. Mick Foley is a big part of our WWE family, but voicing my opinion in praise of him or defense of him or in opposition of him could mean bad publicity in any kind of way, which negatively affects their career. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, man, it's fucking crazy how nowadays like pro wrestling and politics go hand in hand, like I don't ever remember it being like this before. Maybe it was, we just didn't really know about it because of like the internet and stuff or whatever, but
well, if I can educate the people in the chat really quick, if you don't mind, I apologize for cutting you off, but it goes back at least 5.5 years. When COVID-19 started, all of professional wrestling, and everybody who's in here, I want you to hear this because I live in the state this happened, and so this is all true and it's all verifiable. When COVID-19 happened in 2020, the president of the United States at the time was Donald Trump in the first year of COVID-19. Ron DeSantis was the governor of Florida. And professional wrestling was considered non-essential countrywide. Now, Vince McMahon was trying to go over the head of Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, to get professional wrestling to be kept in essential work because he wanted to keep his shows going. They had WrestleManias, they had this, they had that. DeSantis said no. He told Vince McMahon no. And Vince, who has been very close friends with Donald Trump, who was the president at the time, went over his head to Trump. But it didn't just start that way. You see, he made a multi-million-dollar donation to Trump's re-campaign fund because he was going to be campaigning to get reelected against Joe Biden for the 2021. 3 days, 4 days later, all of a sudden after that donation was made public, all of a sudden Donald Trump makes professional wrestling essential, but only in the state of Florida. So all of a sudden AEW packs up from Georgia. They come down to Jacksonville. WWE splits their time between St. Petersburg here at the Thunderdome and at the Performance Center in Winter Park, Orlando, Florida. They have been in direct tandem with President Trump for 5.5 plus, almost actually 6 years. It's about to be January. About 6 years. They have been directly involved with them because Linda McMahon was with Trump in his first run. She's with him again in his second run. Triple H has been involved with him this run, this whole first year, and Linda is still there too. And he's been invited to many WWE events this year, and he was supposed to be at John Cena's retirement. So it's not that it's like it goes far back. It's been going on since he's had presidential power. And Vince and the WWE have leaned on that several times publicly. And that's all verifiable. That's not conjecture, guys. That all made headlines and everything. And there was proof of those freaking donations. And there was proof of him he literally signed a bill to make that wrestling essential like 4 days after getting a multi-million-dollar donation from WWE, specifically Vince McMahon's own bank account. So I understand where all of a sudden Mick is extremely moralistically like, I'm done.
Yeah, and this is how I look at it. Now, before I go on, please keep on double tapping the screen, like the live, share it, and all that good stuff. So the way that I look at it is like this. So the White House, the president, whatever administration is in the White House, they're kind of just like everyone else. Like when they're trying to plug a movie or something, like they'll go on podcasts and like promote their agenda or their businesses. So the Trump's administration gains a lot by having these relationships with big media companies like WWE or like sports companies or entertainment companies like UFC,
In 2025, that's just how it's done nowadays.
And it sucks, man, because like you can't really enjoy anything anymore, it seems like, without having some fucking someone trying to
political agenda. Yeah.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
I mean, the news that was apparently that they're holding a whole UFC fucking pay-per-view on the White House lawn next year, apparently. We talked about that in the news a couple weeks ago. That they're going to spend like how many millions of dollars redoing the White House lawn after the fucking matches, after the pay-per-views? Who's paying for that? It's going to be invite only. Like, I mean, it's just unfortunately because of the way of the world. And the only way to connect to everybody is social media. Mm-hmm. It's just the presidency itself, the seating of presidency. I'm not talking about Trump individually. The seating of the presidency itself, the position of being on Capitol Hill and governor or freaking, this, that, or the third, Supreme Court, doesn't matter, has become a game of content creation.
That's
what it really has. I mean, the fucking White House has their own goddamn TikTok account. Like, that's just the way it is nowadays. I'm not faulting them for playing the game. They're political animals. That's the name of the game. It's the game. It's just unfortunate that the game revolves around being in so many fucking cookie jars that have nothing to do with politics.
Right. Crash and Burn says, so all I can say is, where did they go with Austin Theory? That's a good question. I actually like to talk about that at some point here tonight. But I do want to just finish up this topic, this whole thing with Mick Foley and, the whole thing with the Trump administration being involved with the WWE. It's so crazy to me, man, how intertwined these two are, because like, I'm sure everyone knows Linda McMahon is part of Trump's administration, who's Vince McMahon ex-wife or current wife, I think, because she
I
still
don't even think they're
keeps
fully divorced yet.
I was gonna say because she still has a McMahon name. I don't know if that's by maybe she benefits a lot from having that name still.
It's
Um,
politics, probably does.
yeah, and Triple H being all really involved there too. And Kane is like a governor of some fucking
Tennessee,
state.
Knoxville County, Tennessee.
Yeah, and he's also a big, huge supporter of Donald Trump. The Undertaker also, so
I mean, they literally, and by the way, people saying like, oh, Trump's got nothing to do with WWE. He literally fucking had Hulk Hogan at the RNC convention last year.
yeah.
He literally had the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker, sit down on either side of him and endorse him. He was on the Undertaker's podcast. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
He's got nothing to do with WWE.
Well, yeah, or either he wants to be involved with the WWE or the WWE wants to be involved with them, but
keep in mind that podcast is under WWE's umbrella.
Yeah.
They own it.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, man. The world that we're living in today with, when it comes to pro wrestling and all that stuff. Yeah, man, I'm just like one of those people where it's just like, I don't care who they are or whatever. Maybe I just don't know enough, but if someone gets off like that, like I'm not going to celebrate it or talk shit no matter who you are,
No. He
Like-
could have just not posted at all. If he didn't like the guy, he could have just said nothing, and no one would have thought, "Wow, I can't believe Donald Trump wouldn't give his condolences." Like no one would have said that because they wouldn't have put the two together. They know they publicly disagree, but no one would have faulted Trump if he hadn't said anything. The reason people are pissed, and by the way, it's not just Democrats and liberals that are upset about this. There's people on the Republican Party side that are like, "What the fuck was that, dude?" Like that are MAGA supporters that are like, hey, whoa, well, you didn't got to say that.
Yeah, because those are the same people that were, standing up for when the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened and people were like literally celebrating that. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, shoes on the other foot. I mean, I got blasted in my comment section for the video, the blood drop episode I made about it, where people were like, oh, but you wouldn't say the same thing about Charlie Kirk. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Why don't you scroll down my timeline where I literally told people I have never liked Charlie Kirk. I've never been able to stand him, but you should never celebrate this happening to anybody. I don't care who you are because that guy has a family.
Yeah.
I said, I am the furthest thing from MAGA, but if you celebrate that happening to Charlie, you're a fucking evil individual.
It's fucked up.
And here's the thing, you can privately think it. Don't fucking voice that shit out loud and say it and throw it into the ether. Like, because that says way more about you. Or in fact, for all the things you vilified Charlie Kirk for, it puts you in the exact same vein. And I would say that if you demonized people for what they said about Charlie Kirk, but you celebrate this Rob Reiner shit, you're just as bad as those people you shit on too. Yeah. At the end of the day, no one should be celebrating this happen. I mean, unless these guys were horrible, evil individuals, and that's whatever your perception of them is. They both exhausted their right to freedom of speech, and freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence. But that does not give you a free reign to sit there and act like you're holier than thou, and that you can disrespect the dead, and then still wash your hands clean and act like you're fucking pure later. You're not. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised like it took this long because I've seen Mick Foley kind of speak out on social media about a few things that's been going on in our country and blaming the Trump administration and stuff like that. Like the whole thing with ICE happening or whatever. Mick Foley spoke out about that. He wasn't happy about that. But it wasn't until this happened where Mick Foley said, "You know what? This is it. I'm done."
He literally said it was the last straw. In the tweet. Those are the words he used. He said, I have sat back and watched the WWE coddle, yada, yada. I'm not going to use the adjectives and all that other shit he used to insult Trump here because I don't have the time to read the whole fucking tweet. But he just said it was the last straw. Yeah. And in his defense, there's been a lot of straws from his perspective that have loaded up on the proverbial mule's back or the camel's back.
Yeah.
Again, whether you are, I don't care if you're red, blue, yellow, purple, in the middle, wherever you are politically, I don't fucking care. My best friends are Trump and MAGA supporters. So is my mother. I hate that man like the day is long, and I love them unconditionally, and I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
What I just love them. I don't care about your politics. I care about the person. At the end of the day, I think that if you are a person who knows right and wrong in your bones, in your gut, in your soul, and you stand up for what you believe in and you are willing to make a personal sacrifice like Mick Foley did, taking money out of his own pocket, his job, extra back end cash and publicity out of his own pocket. He took a contract and said, fuck this, and ripped it up basically. Okay. Made a personal sacrifice to stand up for what he believed in. I don't care whether you agree with what he said or not. I feel like you got to respect it.
Well, the next topic, Mr. Bludd, I didn't really have planned, but someone brought it up in the comments. I'm going to give him a quick shout out because it was a really good question. Crash and Burn, where do they go with Austin Theory? I'd like to bring this up because, again, on one of our clips on our social medias, we got a lot of mixed reactions. After we found out that Austin Theory was the masked man, I was really thrilled about that. I was like, yes, it's Austin Theory, because to me, I would have felt like if it was anyone else, it was going to be such a letdown because that's who we were expecting. And, all the reports were pointing to Austin Theory. So we kind of knew it was going to be him, but there was still that doubt. However, it seems like from the comments that we've been receiving, not everyone seems to be too happy about this, Mr. Bludd.
Which is so stupid because I'm like, the reports were coming out for a while. He was originally supposed to be involved in the War Games match itself on their team. Mm-hmm. Clearly, they've shifted plans, and I think that had to do with Seth getting injured. They pivoted on when they were going to bring Austin back and then came up with the masked man idea. I think that's what happened, and then decided to have Austin come in because I think that Austin Theory is going to be a double agent for Seth. He's going to get into the Vision so he can destroy it from the inside out on Seth's behalf, because back when Seth was still the Monday Night Messiah during COVID, one of his disciples was Austin Theory. So, and that was before he went back down to NXT after they decided to scrap that, and then he went with the Way faction and joined hands with them. But when it comes down to it, a lot of people think that I like to think that a lot of the IWC is just reactionary, that they want something until they see the reaction for it. Then they want to jump on the bandwagon before the bandwagon really gets going and go, oh, this isn't that great. This was a stupid decision. Nah, because the live fan reaction on Monday was very muted in the audience. Wasn't a massive pop for it. But then we find out that was when they were doing all their Christmas tapings. So, and by the way, the fans in attendance, according to Wrestling News, had already sat through a full taping of SmackDown before Raw went on the air. And then they were going to sit through,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then they were going to sit through, and so apparently there were 3 fucking shows these people sat through that night.
3?
So
I thought it was 2.
I thought it was 3 because it was the Monday Night Raw, then it was SmackDown. Raw will be live next week, but unless they're doing it might be 2 because I think they're doing SmackDown live next week. So it was literally like they sat through a whole 2 hour SmackDown's 2 hours right now, a whole 2 hour fucking show, and then they had to sit through a whole another 2.5 hours of wrestling, and it's like, dude, they're fucking exhausted.
That makes sense because while I was watching Monday Night Raw, I was scrolling through my phone and I saw something from SmackDown supposedly, and it was something that didn't happen last week, and I'm like, nah, this isn't real, and I just put my phone back down. But that makes sense. Yeah,
that makes. I mean, and keep in mind, it's winter, and they're in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which gets cold as fucking balls this time of year. And I don't know about you, but most stadiums ain't just running heaters, so to sit there and warm up like 13,000 fucking people. Okay. There's too many people in there. I think they were freezing. They were tired and they had their energy sapped, and they blew through a lot of their energy on the Punk promo and the Gunther promo. And I think they just didn't have a lot left to give. And And I think that's why there wasn't such a massive, because let me put it this way. If this is a normal Monday Night Raw schedule and they don't do a pre SmackDown taping, that audience stays hot throughout the night. And when you finally get to the Austin Theory reveal, I genuinely believe they pop much harder. There's like an audible, like, oh, what? Like, like I genuinely think that happens because people already know who Austin Theory is. There were people before they fumbled the Grayson Waller angle that were extremely excited for Austin to turn face on Grayson, and they were cheering Austin in stadiums on SmackDowns at the time, and they were chanting Theory, Theory, Theory. So people did want to get behind him at one point last year. So I find it hard to believe that they just decide they don't want to get behind him now. I genuinely think that it's because 2 hours of fucking SmackDown plus dark matches maybe in between, and then you start the setup and all the set change for Raw, and then you start Raw. And then you get 2.5 hours of Raw. Then you burn all your energy out on booing Gunther. Then you get through some matches. You burn all your energy out on Punk. And then you finally get to the reveal at the very end of almost 5 hours of being stuck in that stadium. You're blown. And it's like 5 degrees out. It was fucking snowing. We saw it was snowing outside the stadium when AJ was leaned up on Gunther's car. So I'm going to say that it was just a multitude of factors, but I think the people acting like Austin Theory is a stupid choice are fucking dumb, because you'd be thanking the heavens that it was Austin Theory if fucking KSI or Kai Cenat showed up under that fucking hood. You'd be like, oh, why? But if it was Austin, you'd be like, yeah. Because if it was Kai Cenat and KSI, you'd be like, what the fuck are you? If it was Travis Scott under there, you'd be like, oh, fuck. So I think Austin is the best decision. He makes the most sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was really pumped for that, but I guess a lot of people weren't happy about that because of the whole thing that was happening with Grayson Waller. They didn't do anything with that. The people were getting behind Austin Theory, and then instead, when he comes back, I guess the people were expecting Austin Theory to come back as a babyface.
Yeah,
Which
Brian
clearly
Nelson said that in the comments too just now.
clearly does not seem like that's happening, right? So it's like, what the fuck? Like, we were just getting behind him, and that they're just gonna turn him against everyone again. Like, why?
I think they're building him into a baby face. I think they're getting all the fanfare behind him by putting him in the most important storyline in WWE right now, and they're going to do what they're doing with Bronson and Braun, and they're going to build up his credibility, build up the fan engagement and investment in him without it being forced, to the point where the fans are going to be clamoring for him to turn on them to reintroduce Seth back to the WWE universe as a babyface. And I think that conduit is through Austin Theory, who will also be a babyface as well. But I think it's going to be a build to Mania, because reports are that Seth should be recovered roughly at or right after Mania. So I think there's got to be some massive moment at WrestleMania 42 or on the Monday Night Raw right after. And I think it involves 100% Austin turning babyface against them and Seth reemerging, but as a face himself for sure. That's what it definitely feels like. In my gut, I can feel it.
Well, either way, it's a great look for Austin Theory, even if he is a heel, because I don't think people fully understand how good Austin Theory actually is. Like, even going back to, when he was United States champion and he was Vince's boy or whatever they called him, right? He beat John Cena at WrestleMania, and it looked like they had a lot of plans for him, and they didn't really do anything with Austin Theory, because that was when Vince McMahon left. Triple H took over. But during that time, like, one of the guys that I compared Austin Theory to a lot was Braun Breaker. Because I was like, those two guys right there, they're gonna be, I think, the major breakout stars of like the next generation, Austin Theory and Braun Breaker. But things went a lot better for Braun Breaker. Obviously, Austin Theory's back. Braun Breaker's now one of Paul Heyman's guys, but Austin Theory was another guy that I really, really want to see or wanted to see as a Paul Heyman guy. We might actually get that now, but Austin Theory is just so good, man, and we just haven't been fortunate enough to see a lot from him because for whatever reason, but he's so good, man, and I think people need
He's
to pay more
extremely
attention for him. Yeah.
he's extremely underrated. He's a John Cena disciple, you know. When I look at the moment that it clicked for me that it could be the story of Austin like infiltrating, like trying to gain their trust to get allowed into the division because he's helped them so many times. Like he's proven his value. He's proven he's willing to jump on the grenade for them, so to speak. Kind of like he's been like trying to prove himself through initiation. Like, I will help you win at War Games. I will stomp so-and-so's head down. I will interfere to make sure you win so your agenda goes forward. I will leave you openings. It feels like he's auditioning for them. And the moment that clicked for me was the moment I had a thought. You know how every generation has their yin and yang, right? The ultimate baby face to his ultimate foil, the heel. But there's someone in every generation that is the indirect opposition of the other person. With Hulk Hogan, you could say it was Randy Savage. With John Cena, you could say it was CM Punk or Randy Orton. With like Roman Reigns, you could say it's Cody Rhodes. The destined to do this forever guys. I immediately had an image in my head of 10 years from now, Braun Breaker and Austin Theory, destined to do this forever. I can see them building Austin as the next massive major face of the next generation and having Braun Breaker be that heel that's always in opposition. And sure, could they swap from heel to face, every now and again to keep themselves fresh? Absolutely. Could they both be face at the same time, but always rivals? Absolutely. But I can definitely see those two being, the future top two guys of their generation. 10 years from now, you look back and go, oh man, I remember when they were on their rise kind of thing. I mean, I look back and when Cody was still Stardust and freaking Roman was in the Shield, and now look at him, destined to do this forever. Two of the biggest stars, if not the biggest stars, still wrestling today. So I think it would be awesome. I think I can definitely see that. And I'm hoping this storyline puts the wind in their sails to make that happen.
I think it will because, even though we didn't really get any closure when it comes to Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and they just brought him back, and he's doing this new thing. Well, look, he wasn't even wrestling when he was with in the tag team with Grayson Waller. Austin Theory was just like ringside, and Grayson Waller was doing all the wrestling. Now Austin Theory, he's involved in the biggest faction on Monday Night Raw with Paul Heyman, with Logan Paul, with Braun Breaker, potentially Seth Rollins, CM Punk. He's involved. He's elevated. Austin Theory has. Now He's in the top story with the top guys.
That tells you that WWE believe, how sometimes, like we've heard Triple H say, we know a lot of guys, a lot of fans want certain guys to have certain spots, and it's like, we hear you, but there's a time and there's a place, and the story has to make sense. And sometimes even if you don't like Triple H or trust him, sometimes you just got to take him at his word, because when Vince had Austin was the guy that Vince was like fixated on into turning into a project. I mean, he involved him in his own WrestleMania fucking story alongside goddamn Pat McAfee and everything. And Stone Cold comes out there and they were trying to get him as much fanfare. They had him beat John Cena at WrestleMania, for Christ's sakes. But then, when Triple H took the proverbial writing pen, he changed what he believed that Austin's involvement needed to be at that time. He probably thought they needed to build him up a little bit more. Then he just didn't know what to do with him. But now he has found the right story at the right time to bring him back and go, okay, hey, we didn't forget about Theory. We just needed the right plan to put the rocket on his back. And they're in the right story that makes sense. And here you go, because it also makes sense just because of Theory's past involvement with Seth with the Monday Night Messiah gimmick. So there is a connection there, you know, even though like Seth and him feuded with Bobby Lashley, I believe, and stuff when it came to the U.S. Championship, like he has history with Seth. It makes sense if he is an agent for Seth, you know, so I think that him being involved like this is the best thing for him because you took him from being under like barely mid-card fucking tag team fodder, and you just the next time we see him, boom, main event story. And I think that's freaking epic for him.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Shout out to Devin Johnson in the comments. Hey, brother, I believe we went to school together. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for sending the goat stickers, man. I wish you a Merry Christmas. Much love, brother.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, like when Austin Theory was under Vince McMahon's wing, yes, he was United States champion. Yes, he beat John Cena, but he was also doing a lot of stupid shit. Like, do you remember the Golden Egg?
Yes, to promote the fucking Red Notice movie, I think. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
it was all
that's
to promote
right.
the fucking Red Notice. And it was all predicated around like 20 years or something of The Rock or whatever. And he didn't even show up to his own Rock Appreciation Night revolving around that stupid Fabergé egg.
Supposedly that egg was worth like $10 million or something crazy like
It was
that.
like one of Cleopatra's freaking like prized possessions. I was like, who writes this shit?
Yeah. Well, at least Austin Theory's not going to be doing shit like that anymore, you know?
Oh, thank God, no. I mean, fuck, if Vince was still in charge, he'd be the next Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial fucking tinfoil Kmart fucking champion, or he'd be in the next Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. You know, like, I mean, the shit that, I mean, if Vince had his way, if Vince had stayed, I'm not lying when I say I would be extremely worried for what he would have had Austin Theory do.
Yeah.
All the segments he would have put that boy, he would have. I mean, you saw the shit they made Roman say when Vince was in charge. You're full of suffer and succotash something, son. Having him say like Looney Tunes and one-liners and quips and staring into the camera and winking into the camera and shit that they had Roman Reigns doing. God forbid what he would have made Austin Theory do had he stayed in the company,
Yeah.
in charge.
Wasn't he doing the selfie gimmick too still? Like
yes.
the
which
Tyler
was
Breeze?
which was kind of like unique, but it wasn't like as Tyler Breeze. Like Tyler Breeze had a whole fucking selfie stick where the phone live streamed his own footage straight into the Titantron. Like, I mean, you know, Austin was like vain. He was like a vain new 20-somethings era adult, you know, kind of kid. That's what his thing was. Full of himself, full of potential, a prodigy, but modern day, very into himself and vain, you know, like it was just, and it kind of worked because he kind of has a punchable face. But like I have said for a while now, he always had, I believe, major babyface chops. I've said that for most of this year whenever we've talked about Austin Theory, I have said several times, I feel like he could be a massive babyface. He has that energy. He's a John Cena disciple. We saw last year, fans do somewhere inside themselves want to get behind this kid. They want to cheer him. And I think this is the perfect story to build him up to that level to where they are clamoring. And the moment where he's about to stab Braun Breaker in the back and betray the Vision, the fans are going to go ape shit. And brother, if it's at Mania or Raw after Mania, it'll be the pop of fucking pops. I'm telling you.
But yeah, I'm pumped for this because we've seen Austin Theory be a heel before, but he was like one of those like arrogant, like pretty boy type heels, you know, where he's just annoying. But now he came back, he shaved his head, he looks more serious, you know. So this is gonna be a new, turned up, more evil version of Austin Theory.
Yes.
Which I don't think we've seen this version of Austin Theory before. And I'm pretty excited, man, because like if you put him in the same faction, the same category as like a Braun Breaker and a Bronson Reed, who are just complete badasses, right? They don't fuck around, they'll take you out. And if you put Austin Theory in that same category, I think that could lead to a very, very dangerous and very, very entertaining Austin Theory.
I mean, people who have been clamoring for WWE and Triple H to focus on the younger stars. There you go. The entire fucking main storyline that WWE is running, the biggest story they have, is comprised of Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and freaking Austin Theory. Four extremely young guys. I mean, Bronson Reed's like 34, 35 years old, but that's still relatively young in comparison to most of the main events. Most of the main event scene, which is between 39 to fucking 45 years old, all the way up to 48. So I mean, you got like LA Knight, Damian Priest, Drew, not Drew yet, but CM Punk, John, who just retired, like all these guys in their 40s, the biggest stars, Asuka in her 40s, I mean, it's nice to see that, hey, you guys want young and upcoming talent. You want to see what the building new stars looks like. The most important story WWE's telling is comprised of guys 35 years old and under. And like two of them are in their 20s still, in Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. Because even Logan Paul is only like 31 or 32 years old. So I think it's a big thing. We'll get an aggressive, serious Austin Theory. But this all depends on if they're going to let him talk, give him the mic, show us his personality. We need to see him build that, just like they've given Braun Breaker his own personality. They've allowed Bronson Reed to go out there and do the tribal thief thing and show us his mic skills, his personality, and build upon him. We've gotten plenty of Logan doing that, showing us what he can do heel-wise. You got to give Austin the same freaking chance. You got to afford him that same opportunity so he can build and relate with the audience. Let's see. Why do we care? Why do we care? And I think that's what's going to be the sink or swim for him, because we all thought Grayson was better on the mic. Grayson had better personality, but Austin was the better wrestler. Well, if that's the case, it's time we fucking mold this kid on the mic and give him all the tools he needs to succeed.
From what I remember, Austin Theory was always pretty good on the mic as well.
Yeah, he's good.
So I'm not too concerned about that. But the thing that I'm excited about the most is like they're bringing these people back and they're giving them a serious, I guess you can say, character. They're not really a gimmick. They're not really like, oh, we're going to make this guy goofy and funny. Like, no, this guy looks like he's for real. This guy, Austin Theory, looks like, he's ready to whoop some ass and he's not here to fuck around, I mean, and that's how it should be, because you're going to be in there with guys like CM fucking Punk, who CM Punk don't play. So I'm glad that they're giving Austin Theory a serious opportunity, it looks like, man. So hopefully he can bang it out the park.
And putting him with Paul Heyman, such a great idea. You're talking about the ultimate wealth of knowledge from a learning tree perspective. I mean, it for people who think that Triple H doesn't care, he is giving these guys all the tools in the world to succeed. TV time, storylines, championship contendership matches. I mean, they allowed Bronson Reed to beat Roman Reigns, for fuck's sakes. Like they're allowing Logan to be involved in massive stories and build him up. They're not just throwing him in the main title scene. They were building him up in the mid-card scene for a while with the U.S. title and all that other stuff and regular feuds. Then they give them Paul Heyman, who's going to teach them the ins and outs of the business, what to do on the microphone, how to control the crowd when you're wrestling, how to pause for your moments, how to do this, how to do that. They are setting these four guys up for success. And that is such an important thing in building stars. And I think the biggest additive is, if you don't have a Vince McMahon there to put his hand on your shoulder, pause and no Diddy, and steer the ship in a direction for your career, where if you can't have Vince McMahon guiding your career because he wants to make you a pet project, you need Paul Heyman, someone who knows the business just as much or better than Vince in so many regards, and also understands how to cultivate a young wrestler and mold them into the star that he knows they could be without selfish gain involved, just for trying to mold the future of the business. Paul is the guy to stick them with. And these 4 guys that Triple H is turning into massive stars right now, he's going to make, these guys will be all worldwide household names by WrestleMania, if they're not already. Sticking them with Paul is just a chef's kiss, Christmas bow on top of their runs right now. It really is.
Yeah, man. I'm pumped for that. Looking forward to that. So yeah, just to give some insight on the people who don't really believe in Austin Theory, I'm telling y'all, man, that boy,
give him a chance.
Good. He's
give
really
him
good.
A chance. Yeah,
I think he's gonna do really good in this storyline for sure. Thank you guys for all the likes, by the way. You guys are awesome, man. The follows.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
We do this every Thursday with me and Mr. Bludd one-on-one. We talk about random wrestling topics, the news, what up, real life habit. Yeah, man. If you guys hang out with us, bring up your questions on the chat. We'll love to hear what you guys think. But yeah, other than that, we pretty much done here, Mr. Bludd. Anything else before we get up out of here?
I can't think of any other topics. We won't be live next week because it's Christmas, obviously, on Thursday. But we will be the week after. We're going to have some important, probably, reviews coming up here with the January 5th episode of Raw. We're going to have the final Raw of the year, I believe, the Monday after next. I want to say next week is the final SmackDown of the year. So if you guys want to cap off the year with us with these, final reviews, make sure you're tuning in. But if that's all, thanks for tuning in with us every single week. You can catch us live every Monday and Friday night after Raw and SmackDown go off the air, respectively, for live post-show reviews. And for bonus content, you can join all the actual social medias like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all that for live reaction content during the actual segments that get posted within a minute or two of the actual segment taking place. And then you can kick it with us every Thursday night here on TikTok Live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, where myself, Mr. Bludd, and that handsome Mexican over there, Edgar, do our random one-on-ones where we do random or important wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live. And that's every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. But until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And we'll catch you tomorrow on Friday Night SmackDown afterwards for our Friday Night SmackDown pre-Christmas episode review. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.